Alright, I want to do a little something today. Um, I'm working on some videos on how to repair a carving, but I want to do a little Uncle Sam hobo here today. And now a lot of you know the way I do these pieces. I just basically get my own pattern kind of drawn out, and let's see, this has got I gotta get more of a pencil here. There we go. And this is only about 1 inch wide, and probably about, I made it a little bit higher because of the hat, probably 3.5 inches tall. But the way I start out with something like this, of course, is I first of all make my room for my hat right in here. And so I make room for my hat first, and because I work on that usually at first. Now the Uncle Sam hat is a little bit higher than a normal hat. The brim, not the brim, but the top of the hat, in other words. So naturally I'm going to get things kind of run it here. Now, I am outside, so if you do hear some, and it is hot today, whew, I tell you what, the then I come here, and of course then I have to make my brim for my hat, the top of my hat. So I simply go around and I just sort of open that up. Like that. And we're going to bring, of course, this down quite a bit. In other words, in here. Lately, we have really, there has been so much in the news and all the problems that we have in this world, folks. And I'm sorry that all this has to come about. You know, we carvers, we just seem to take things in stride. But I want to tell you something. Don't feel upset. I don't know if you're saved or not. I have no idea. But if you're following Jesus, these are things that are going to happen before the Lord comes, and they're going to get a whole lot worse than this right now. I've been very vocal about this because I know it. You know, if you're a Christian, you know what's coming. And it is a setup for even worse things to come. And I'm not trying to bring problems to your life, but I'm just saying, don't be afraid, because He's got full, you know, the Lord's got full control of it. The world's going to get worse, but we don't have to get worse. All right. Now, like I said, with our thing here, we began to, and like I said, the Uncle Sam is unique little guy, but I wanted to just make him into a hobo. And like I said, these are just 1-inch thick figures. Okay, already they're starting to look the way we want it. A lot of you wonder why I like hobos. I don't know why. I guess it was just the era of that time. As I've told you before, it was the era of that time that I just, you know, people were not finding work, so they went across the country to find work. And when we say hobos, a hobo was not necessarily a vagrant, okay? A hobo was a product of the times back then when the 1929 crash came and people had to leave their homes and their families to find work somehow. Very similar to a lot of the immigrants that come to this country. They left their home countries and came to this country so that they could find work and so that they could provide for their families. And they send a lot of people, you know, they send work, they send their paychecks back home. And so the hobo was not a whole lot different than that. He was not a bum. He was a man that was looking for work. He wasn't a man that didn't want to work. He was a man that was looking for work. A lot of people that are homeless today, and I'm not being critical or nothing, but a lot of the homelessness is caused from drugs and alcohol and things like that. And if you offer them a job, they wouldn't take it. So I'm not saying that about all homeless people, so I don't want any letters and stuff like that. I'm just saying a lot of it is. A lot of it is. But back then it was a different era. These men were going through tremendous times of when the whole economy collapsed, and they had to go find work. All right, continue to make this plausible. We're going to put the way we're going to do this is we're going to put in one hand a little American flag, and in the other, of course, we'll have his hobo thing, and it's kind of unique, making different characters out of hobos, in other words. Okay. But it was an interesting era. It was a generation of the 1929 when the entire economy collapsed, and people were just basically, even farmers, you know, they lost their farms, and these men basically were looking for work. And they would ride the rails, they would ride the trains, illegally, of course, they were most of the time. A good movie to watch if you want to know a lot about hobos is, even though it's Hollywood, I know it's called Emperor of the North with Lee Marvin, where he's a hobo making his rounds. It's Hollywood, I know, folks, but I'm just saying it was a pretty good movie, I thought, with Ernest Borgnine and Lee Marvin, two absolutely amazing actors, both of them. Okay, right now, basically I'm just working on the hat that we're going to have. And so there we go. There's the hat that is put. Now, what we want to do is on this side, we want to just make the face. We want to come up here and draw our little cross here where the face is going to be. And since it is an Uncle Sam, he doesn't have a long beard, and it will probably be even shorter. So let's go ahead and cut around here and cut a lot has been said lately about Civil War monuments and the problems that people are having over them. I am a Civil War buff, so you're not going to get me to say anything bad about the monuments, because I love the Civil War. I studied it. I've gone to most all of the battlefields. The only one I have not been to, I've been to Gettysburg, I've been all those places. The only one I haven't been to is Manassas. I haven't been to Virginia. I have not been there. And I love the Civil War. I don't love what happened at the Civil War, but I love the time and the period and reading about it and the brave men that fought in the Civil War. And I know the reason why the Civil War was, I mean, most of the historians have told us. And I think a lot of us would realize that slavery was not the main issue for the North. It was for the South, but not for the North. And most wars today are fought not over individuals, but fought more over money, so and land. I mean, most wars, just like World War II, was fought over Nazism, but it was also fought over world dominion that Hitler wanted. So this is what we have. Okay, now, okay. We're going to continue with our little, I love Uncle Sam's, by the way, I do. I love to carve them. I love to do them. Okay, I just want to establish right here our piece as we go by here. Okay, here we go. Now we have established now where our little Uncle Sam is. And now we want to establish where our hands would be. Now, what I want to do with this side is I want to just go ahead and make him an arm down this here, and I'm going to put a little American flag in his hand. And I tell you what I'm going to do this time. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put it down like this, and then put his hand out like that, where he's holding a little American flag. I think that would be much. And I'm going to cut that. It has been, we have had down here in Texas a monsoon season. It has rained, well, we've had more rain this year than any time. But to be honest with you, we've had a tremendous amount of rain, but it is also, after the rains, has been just deadly hot. Okay, now see what I'm doing here? I'm establishing now where I want my hand to be, because I want it to be holding a little American flag. I just carved a couple of little, two little figures, one a Confederate soldier and one a Union soldier, because I love the Civil War. And I guess some people may take that as being wrong, but I'm a history buff, so I embrace history. I don't feel that it scares me. History doesn't scare me. My father, most of you know, was a Japanese prisoner of war in World War II. And I learned so much from him. I just dearly love my father. He is dead now. He's been dead for a long time. But I dearly love him because he taught me, he was a Japanese POW and never hated the Japanese people. He never did. He said, son, war was terrible and people did things in war they don't normally do otherwise. Not that he made excuses for their actions. He was a prisoner of Japanese for 4 years and they treated him horribly. But he didn't let that hate rule his life, even though he was very ill from being in the camp. He never let that hate rule his life, and he taught me that. So, you know, the object of hate is more than just a statue, and it's more than just an idea or something like that. The object of hate is something that is just very difficult for anyone to overcome a lot of times. And people are very angry at so many things in this world. But he did teach me not to let that hate and if I saw that in my dad, see that? I was able to see a man who should basically have hated the way he was treated, but did not. He didn't hate people that way. And he didn't live, you know, hating the way he was treated. He didn't like it, but he knew a lot of his fellow soldiers were treated just as bad. So, okay. All right, I'm going to make the hand come down here like this. And that's where he will be. We're going to come down a little bit deeper, and this is where we will have his hand holding his belongings in a little backpack, or it's not a backpack. It's oh man. Those things, you know, hobos, I don't think that hobos had, it was kind of where they carried their few belongings and things like that. As a wood carver, we should appreciate the hobo, because a lot of art, I don't know if you've had much time to see what is known as hobo art, but hobo art is just beautiful stuff. It's some of it's just beautiful. All right, as we come up here, we and it was made out of paper mostly, not wood. And there we go. Now this will be where he carries his his little knapsack, as we might say. Okay, so we've got the arm established, and we've got those things established, and we're looking good. We first of all, of course, want to establish our where we're at. And we have established where we're at on this. By the way, I want to remind you, if you have not seen his videos yet, there's a young man that I don't know how old Doug is. I'm not sure, but he is. He has a website, or he has videos called Doug Outside, and he does a lot of his carvings outside and stuff like that. Very easy going place. If I ever get to Kentucky, that's where you know, I live in the inner city here in Texas, so I don't have a lot to do. But he goes out and he does his carving outside a whole lot and stuff, and wonderful videos, so relaxing. So, and if you want to look it up on YouTube, look up Doug Outside, and it go to his videos, and he has some carvings on there that he can show you, and he carves and has coffee and things like that. Just very relaxing videos, and he's a good carver. So, and he looks the part too of a outdoorsman. And Doug, when he first started his carving things, I was very honored that he said that he had learned a lot from me. And so you know, folks, all I do is get you started. You have to have the talent to continue, and that's what is important. I'm just showing you how. Then the talent takes over in your ballpark, and it's kind of like teaching somebody to sing. I can show you how to, you know, a person can show you how to sing and stuff, but it's you who develops the talent, and it's you who continues it. So, okay, now what I want to do is go ahead and come up this way with the pants, or the crouch area. All right, and we'll continue to, let's go ahead and cut our pants here for our shoes. Get that over with. I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and we're going to continue later. And so we've got the pattern set here now for the arm on this side and the hand on this side, and we're going to do some good things here. All right, well, God bless you, and we'll continue this.